Tuesday. Braun, Kratz, Pierzynski, the OG crew. Can I rant for a second?
If you want to.
Okay.
I mean, if I said no, you would do it anyway, so
I
it doesn't
would.
matter.
I feel like you'll be interested in this one. So we put a lot of time into the podcast. Many of you right now are watching the live version of the show on YouTube, but also there is a large component of people who listen to this show when they're commuting or working out or whatever later on. Some people leave reviews. Many do, actually, and they're really nice. One person, and I don't like to call out trolls because I don't like to give them attention, just put, there's too many ads and like just some mean crap and put 1 star. Like, you're such an asshole to have to actually go in there and put 1 star. And also, I'm sorry for pumping out hours of free content and working our asses off every day to talk about it. Also, you do not have to be here. Like, if you're not interested in the show, it's all good. We're good. We have plenty of friends. We're fine. But to actually go on there and be like, oh, I don't want to listen to ads and here's 1 star, like that's what supports the show. So I would like to say for all of the nice humans who have a heart out there, who care and enjoy listening to good baseball talk and all of these interviews and baseball breakdowns that we do, give us 5 stars if you can. And I'll read some of those nice reviews. So I'm not going to read or call out this person's name. I'm not going to do any of that. But I just wanted to call that out.
You
for
call
everyone.
me out real quick. Sorry. I hit the wrong button.
That was my walkout music to this little rant that I had.
But that was your reminder to also hit subscribe on YouTube. If you're listening on the pod, go onto YouTube, hit subscribe, and you can see that we don't have a lot of ads. We got more bobbleheads than ads, so there's that.
Way more. So that's it. That's my rant. Just wanted to let everyone know. It's very simple. But I'm actually going to look for some reviews if you've never reviewed this pod, and we'll read some of them. If you have a question for us, easy way to get a question in, you can include that in the review, and we'll do that as well. All right, we got plenty to get to, so let's charge the damn mound.
Charging the mound.
When will it end? Rafael Devers. 6 games, 6 home runs, one in each.
Is it Mattingly has the record, right? 8, 9? What was it?
So I looked it up. There's a few that are on that list. First off, the most recent to be ahead of him is Mike Trout, who had 7 in a September run of 2022. But the record for consecutive games with a home run is held by Dale Long in 1956, Don Mattingly in 1987, and Ken Griffey Jr. in 1993. All of them with 8 days in a row, or 8 games in a row.
It's impressive. I did 5 once, and that was my high.
Did you do 5?
I got 5, yeah.
Nice.
One
Did you feel it?
One of them was a pinch hit homer, too.
Oh.
Do you know which game it was?
I know which game it was. I hit a pinch hit homer.
Yeah, like in the 5.
Yeah, it was. It might have been 5.
It was 5.
Yeah, it was off Jason Isringhausen. It was a pinch hit homer.
That's kind of messed up because you got 4 in a row, and then they're just going to give you 1 chance, and otherwise the streak ends.
I mean, not that I cared. I mean, I wasn't that really into it. I mean, we ended up winning the game because of the home run. So, I mean, it worked out. But, yeah, it was I got to 5. And then 5, we played the Royals. It was 2012. We played the Royals, and I got 2-0. And I was like, it's about to be 6. And I hit a double, and I was like, fuck, that's the only pitch I'm going to get to hit today. Because it was like 2-0. I was like, 2-0, whoever it was like, I know he stole me a changeup. So 2-0 changeup, and I hit it down the right field line for a double. And I was like, oh, damn it, that's the only pitch I'm going to get to hit today.
But that's the thing. When you're at a number like that, Devers is going, okay, today is about winning, but today is also about me hitting a home run.
Yeah, of course. But, 5 was still cool.
Yeah. 6 is cool. It breaks the record for Boston. Yeah. They also shut out their opponent here, the Tampa Bay Rays, and they couldn't touch Tosh Bradley early, but third time through was really playing. They figured him out. But 7th shutout of the season for Boston. That's best in baseball. They had 5 all of last year, so we got to give them some love at the top of the show.
Hawkamania.
Did you see Papelbon's outfit yesterday? Okay, we got to show you at some point.
It was nice. It was nice.
But where did he wear his outfit?
On Pap's Picks.
Oh, that would have required me watching.
Or, we could have sent you a screenshot, but
could have, but you did.
It's worth it. It's worth it.
Kind of like you could have sent me the FT heater today, but you didn't.
We'll get to that later. It's a good one. But anyway, Kratz, does it impress you? I feel like this would be a Kratz thing. Where the home runs landed for him so far. Have you seen where the home runs have gone? I think 5 to center.
It impresses me because It impresses me. I'm always impressed with. I don't love all the like home run probability chances it could be, but I love seeing the distance of home runs. Like if there's one stat that I never want them to go away from, I want to see where the ball went. I love seeing the graphic. And Devers can hit the ball anywhere. He can hit it out anywhere. It's not, I'm sure all of AJ's home runs, unless they were in Chicago, were all pull side. Like Devers goes everywhere, deep style.
I mean, negative, but okay.
In that run?
No, they were center. One with Greinke, I know, was center. One off Isringhausen was center.
In Chicago?
Well, yeah, but Minnesota, I hit a couple in Minnesota. They were, I don't know where they were.
Big.
I mean, I don't know. Homers are homers. As long as they go over the fence, I don't give a shit how far they go.
Thanks.
All right, so Rafael Devers had somewhat of a slow start. He was a little bit nicked up.
He'll be fine. He can hit.
He's more than fine now.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
This team is kind of like, how long do we say? I mean, we're always going to say, they didn't do anything in free agency. How long do we say, well, this pitching staff, it's not going to last as long as it is? Like, what date do we sit there and go, hey, it's July 4th. Like, they still have the second lowest now, ERA for starting pitchers. They still, when do we stop, I guess, hating on them?
I don't think that's the right word. I mean, no one's hating on them. I mean, they're
I guess I'm hating on them.
It's not like they're the Yankees or the Orioles that are just 15 games over 500. And you're like, oh damn, look at this team go. I mean, they're 24-24. So it's great they're pitching and they're doing better. I think but we all expected them to be around 500. It wasn't like, oh, the Red Sox are going to be a 100-loss team. I mean, I just thought we probably thought they'd hit more than they pitched, but their pitching has been better than they expected. But also, Bayo, Houck, Whitlock before, but now he's hurt. These guys have stepped up, and they've also taken like the next step. They've also been around for a couple of years now, so they're taking that next step, like to become quality major league pitchers, and they're all kind of did it at the same time.
And Whitlock has elbow ligament damage and might have surgery, so that's a tough loss. So I love what they've done so far. They're 24-24, like you said. To me, it's actually an easy team to fade. I just can't see the next 70% of this season looking like this on paper for pitching. I can't see it. It's not a knock against the pitching, but I do think the league will adjust. They made massive changes, not to the roster, but to the way that they're pitching. Massive changes. So I do think that the league will adjust and be like, all right, these dudes don't really throw fastballs anymore. Number one. Number two, I'm actually on the side of too many breaking pitches causing more injuries, and we don't have the data to back any of that up. And Craig Breslow actually talked about that this weekend on Jim Bowden's show on Sirius and said, like, we don't have the data for that, so what are we going to do? Tell the guys to not pitch their best stuff right now? They're doing the Rays formula. But I do think you'll probably have some more injuries when you're doing something like this. So when you add it all up, I think their ceiling is in this range right now. Like, I think the best we're going to see from them is 82-ish wins. I don't think they're a playoff team. That's the best.
Eventually, teams are going to figure out they just don't throw fastballs. I mean, they just throw all junk. I mean, it's like it is a lot of sliders, a lot of sweepers, a lot of whatever the hell you want to call them, splits and changeups, and it's just they figured out that this is what we're going to do. Now, how long can they hold up? We don't know because we've never seen a team do this, like you said about data or whatever you want to say. But like, I don't know. I mean, again, coming into the year, nobody said, "Oh, the Red Sox are going to lose 100 games," and nobody said, "Hey, the Red Sox are going to win 100 games." We were like, 85 to 79-ish to 85-ish is kind of in the range where they are, and they're 500 right now. Now, we thought they'd hit better than they pitched because they didn't do anything pitching-wise. They lost Giolito. Mm-hmm. Now Whitlock's down. But we thought they'd hit, and they'd hit enough to score runs to keep them in it. But now, listen, it's a nice story because their pitching has been so good. But, again, we're not even 50 games into the season.
So they are
to me,
we were.
Yeah, exactly. I don't
just
think
maybe in a different way,
us.
right?
Yes.
Different way than what we thought they would be.
Yeah. Their defense on the year, I know it's gotten a little better lately, and their outfield defense is pretty good. Their infield defense, if you look at the year, has been awful.
Well, they lost Trevor Story
Yeah.
for a while.
They lost some bats too. Like, I thought their offense would be a little bit better. It's starting to pick up, and Devers obviously is on this heater right now. That's why we started talking about them. Nobody saw this coming from their starting rotation. They're giving them all the credit for turning it around with the same personnel. But I think they're a 4th or 5th place team that peaks at 500. I have them between 76 and 82 wins.
That's kind of what we said.
Yeah.
And then imagine if they had Chris Sale.
Yeah. But if they did, would it be the same?
I don't know.
Probably
just needed a change of scenery, maybe,
Yeah.
Sailor.
Yeah.
But he's doing all right.
He is doing great. So anyway, I didn't want to totally crush hopes and dreams, but they are who we thought they were. Now, the Kansas City Royals have won 9 of 12 games. They're 11 games over 500. They play in a much easier division. I'm sorry, I don't care about the records yet. I still think it's a much, much easier division, the AL Central, than the AL East. Still the worst division in baseball in my mind, despite having 3 teams over the 500 mark, 1 just barely over 500. How do we feel about the Royals and where they might finish? And Kratz, I know we talked about your experience over the weekend with them, celebrating being winning alums, but did you get any good insight on where the team is at?
Besides the fact that Salvador Perez is single-handedly carrying this team offensively, and they can't not have him in the lineup, they really, truly believe in some of these young guys that they have playing. And they truly believe, just watch Hunter Renfroe hit a home run or double off the wall there. They truly believe he's going to turn it around. He was hitting 136 when we were there. Got it up to 150 after a knock. But they believe they've built a team with the young guys that got some experience last year. And now they have experience around them, but they also have experience of their own. And the coaches that I talked to, Paul Hoover, the bench coach, talking to Vance Wilson, Hoove came in with Matt Kutera, with the new manager. And they said the whole time, it was like Q never changed who he was. Last year was a frustrating year. Losing all those games, bringing in a new staff, and you're like, oh, man, like, how is this? And they said Q, and even some of the players told me this, Q just never changed who he was. He was constant. He was always right there with a positive affirmation, ready to listen, trying to learn what the organization was trying to build. And it seems like they've really backed that up. Plus, they've added in these veteran guys to take innings, to help with, even some of the guys from the 2014 team come back, like Wade Davis and Greg Holland. They come back and they talk to closers. They talk to guys in the bullpen that are younger. They have MacArthur out there throwing tons of curveballs and just punching out the side. And they have guys that are coming around and they're building something that an organization is just learning to win together. And I love it. But can Salvi keep all this up? Can Salvi hit 340? I would have said no until I went and saw him, because he's walking too. Salvi used to go the whole season without getting a walk. So if your best player is putting up MVP type of numbers and he's never walked before, to me it could be, the new 30-year-old Salvi instead of the 20s where Salvi was just like, I'm going to swing, Poppy.
True. I mean, his numbers are ridiculous this year. 341, 404 on base, 565 slug. He's a 171 OPS plus, 100th league average. Although, I saw AJ make a face, and I'll add to his face. Bobby Witt Jr. It's a 1-2 punch. Bobby Witt Jr.'s he's 142 OPS plus, 295. He's obviously playing another premium position, just like Salvi. 357 on base, 511 slug. It's 2 dudes, right? They need to game plan around right now.
And it's amazing to me that they're not, and how they have it stacked. It's Bobby, Pasquantino, and Salvi in the lineup. And to me, if I'm trying to beat the Royals, I'm walking Salvi, because I need Nelson Velasquez. I need Mike Massey to beat me. I need Hunter Renfroe was hitting 150 something. he needs to beat me. And when Hunter Renfroe starts driving balls in the gap, now all of a sudden, it's a tougher lineup to mitigate. But a lot of the dudes were hitting 220, 230, and they don't strike out. So is that the formula? Don't strike out in that park. You put the ball in play, you make stuff happen. But to me, Salvi right now should be in the top 3 in MVP voting.
I mean, he'll be talked about.
Mm-hmm.
He'll definitely be talked about. Now it's only, again, we're 50 games in, so
yep.
We got a long ways to go. And Salvi's had a history of kind of, as the year has gone, and he's had a history of kind of,
which actually is a thing with many catchers.
Well, of course, because especially if you catch a lot. I mean, they've been doing more DHing with him and using some other guys to catch. But listen, I mean, the Royals are a nice story. Their pitching is what's been better than I think people expect. Reagans, Waka, Lugo, obviously, has been better, I think, than what people expected. I mean, but they're doing a great job, and they're winning. They're beating the teams they should beat if they want to make a run. Right? I mean, they won, what they say, 9 of 11 or whatever it is, and 7 of them are against the A's. The Tigers and the other one, Angels. Although the Angels are playing better. Kind of.
Yeah.
They took 2 out of 3 in Texas. But I don't know. I mean, can the Royals do this for the whole year? I don't know. Do they have enough to, the Twins were so hot, now they're gone the other way. So, I mean, yeah, the Royals are a nice story, and I hope they keep it up because, Mike Cortaro came on here. Salvi's a great guy. Bobby Witt's been on. He's a great guy. I mean, Pasquantino. They got a bunch of good dudes. I played with Waka. He's awesome. So I hope they keep it up, and I hope they make this Central competitive because for years it's been a one-team race, and to see someone else is cool.
I think Pasquantino is going to pick it up too.
Of course.
He's been off to just an okay start, and I loved your idea of walking Salvi, Kratz, because you got to let Massey beat you, and Salvi's a 5 percentile sprint speed. So let him clog the bases. Have fun.
You definitely have to get 4 hits to score him. But another thing that I talked to Will Smith. So this is why the Royals, if you're putting money down, the Royals will win the World Series. Don't forget, Will Smith is on the Royals. So that's pretty much a guaranteed World Series victory right there. But the one thing he said was all these dudes are getting together when they're on the road. Last year, he was told, now obviously he's going by he was told, it was maybe 5 or 6 guys would go out for meals. It was always, I got other things to do. He said now they have team meals on almost every single city, every road trip. And he said it's 15 to 20 guys deep every single time. He said if, mama or girlfriend is in, somebody won't come out. But he said they're getting so many guys to come out, so many dudes are just hanging out. Like they love hanging out with each other and they have a good time. So it's a formula that they have going and they keep it hot. Could be, I think it's them, the Guardians, and the Tigers.
I feel like we should go out to dinner more, and our show would be better.
I mean, I feel like that's so overrated. I was on bad teams. We went out to eat all the time. It didn't do anything. In 2014, I was on the Red Sox. We were terrible. And we'd go out 20 of us at a time. It didn't mean shit. When you're winning, everyone's like, oh, these guys go out to eat. Oh, great, cool. But when you're losing, they're like, oh, we're going out to eat. Cool.
If you're having success and you say that, it's different. If you're sucking and going out to eat doesn't make you win. He was talking more about how they have this camaraderie. They have this
yeah, because they're winning. If they were losing, I mean, listen, I was on bad teams that liked each other. I was on good teams that we didn't, and we won the World Series, and there wasn't it was all, rainbows and flowers and butterflies every day. I mean, there was stuff that happened. So, I mean, I feel like when you win, of course, everything is better. When you lose, you just don't talk about it as much. I feel like camaraderie is not built by going out to dinner and I feel like camaraderie is always better when you win, and when you lose, it always sucks. That's it. That's chemistry. And can you figure it out? Sure. But when you're winning, everything tastes better. Beer, food, the drive to the park's better, everything. When you leave, everything's great. When you lose, it's like, this tastes like shit.
Well, let's do this. We'll be right back with our first guest, Jake Berger, and we'll ask him about meals, especially with the last name, but how much they impact Dubs. UNIFYD Healing is sponsoring this episode of Foul Territory. UNIFYD Healing is an innovative global network of wellness centers powered by Energy Enhancement System, or EE System. This technology promotes wellness and deep relaxation, and there are hundreds of locations across the globe. Interested in experiencing the EE System technology for yourself? Go to unifydhealing.com/foul to learn more and find a center near you. That's UNIFYD healing.com/FOUL. No material or testimonials on the UNIFYD Healing website are intended to be viewed as medical advice or a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment and before undertaking a new healthcare regimen, including EE System. Marlins power bat slugger Jake Berger with us right now on FT Live. You've been heavily requested for a while now, so we're glad to have you on, Jake. How you doing, man?
Good. How are you guys doing?
We're good. Before we get into everything else, how often do you go out to eat with your teammates? And do you think it impacts wins and losses? Meals above replacement is at what number for you?
Yeah. So I was listening to that. I was trying to think back. I think like on good teams, I feel like you have more of a commitment of more guys showing up. Like every team goes out to eat, it's just, I think from a broad spectrum, like in 21, when I was only up for like a month, but obviously played in the ALDS that year. I think there was a lot more commitment to everybody showing up for a dinner somewhere.
I like that.
Yeah, but it doesn't affect whether you win or lose, right? Because you were also on some bad White Sox teams, and you guys went out to eat.
Not as much though. As
yeah,
21.
but I mean, of course, because people were like, "Fuck, this sucks. I don't want to. I see your asses enough. I don't need to go to dinner with you." But when you're, like I said, when you're playing good, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, let's go out to eat. It's so fun. We like each other." And then when you suck, everyone's like, "I don't want to talk to him. I talked to him for 5 hours a day. Why don't I want to go to dinner?"
I don't know if there's like a direct correlation, but I feel like there's more of a commitment to going to dinner on good teams.
There you go. Okay.
Yeah.
I like it. All right. So let's get to you. First off, I want to backtrack. How shocked were you when you got the call that you were going from the White Sox to the Marlins last year? Yeah,
that was definitely interesting. There was no rumors, nothing flying around of I'm about to get traded. To be completely frank, me and Gavin Sheets were in the Texas Rangers visiting clubhouse and about to start a game of Madden. I was about to whoop up on them like I always do in Madden. And, I ended up getting the call, and it was kind of a crazy process, or a whirlwind in a sense, calling my family, telling them we're going to Miami, and just kind of waiting around for medicals to go through and stuff. So definitely a whirlwind. And then next night I'm in the lineup against the Phillies on a team that's pushing to get to the postseason. And so definitely a whirlwind, but definitely blessed that I came over here.
I mean, you did get to go to the playoffs last year, so it couldn't have been that bad. It was a little better than where you were headed with the White Sox. I mean, they were like, "Oh, we're going to lose 100 games," or "Oh, wait, I get to go to the playoffs. That's kind of fun, right?"
Yeah, it was definitely it was crazy different. Going from a team that you're not really sure where you're at and where you're at in their plans, and then coming over here and basically starting every game for the last 53 games, and helping get to that push and get experience postseason baseball, especially in Philadelphia.
Is it easier to do better, hit better, have better at bats on a team that's doing well, or is it easier to hit better, have better at bats on a team that's doing poorly because we're out of some games, we're going to get some pitches to hit here, they're not bringing in their best reliever? Which is easier?
I think baseball is such like an ebbs and flows type thing. Even teams where you're losing a lot of games, you can go on a streak where everybody's hot, and it's easier to have good at bats and put those together. They always say fighting at the bat rack. But I think in a sense, when you're kind of out of contention, it's it almost turns into like a selfish type mindset. And I think that's where teams get in trouble. It's like, it's a long season, and just go out there and do your job and, kind of do your role in a sense, don't try and do more. For me, it's like when I'm feeling like all the pressure's on me, it's like I'm trying to hit a 8-run home run, and that's just not possible. And just going out there and taking good at bats. So, I don't think there's. I think it's more of the personal mentality in a sense. I don't think it's a matter of the team or anything like that.
Hey, Jake, you guys just got done playing the Mets. What'd you guys have on Edwin Diaz? Because no one else can hit him, but you guys certainly figured something out. So what is it with his glove? Is it like the way he holds his leg kick? What do you guys have on him? And let us know, please.
No, he's an unbelievable pitcher, and we see him MLB Network and all that's on in the clubhouse all the time, and so you get to see all these guys on the TV, and me and Josh Bell were talking about it. It's like, man, that dude's nasty. Like, we just got to figure out an approach for him, and fortunately we got a pitch to hit a couple times, and Josh deposited one and tied the game up. So he's been an unbelievable mentor to me, and just having a relationship with him, he's done it for a long time. So you want that type of guy up at the plate when it matters most.
Did you and Josh have a laugh when he hit the ball to center field and Diaz pointed up, and then Josh was like, "No, it's out there in the bushes out in center field out there"?
Cabrera came up to Josh and I. He's like, "That's why I never point up for a ball in the outfield. It's like, pop up, okay, I'll point up, but you just never know what's going out of the park and what's not, and you don't want to be on a highlight reel."
Hey, Jake, I want to get into your personal story a little bit too, because I'm assuming that you're always looking at your situation, being happy to be here too, right? The injuries that you went through, and I actually want to start with the story I read that said you very seriously considered calling it. So can you take us through that point? And if there were many, okay, but the kind of lowest point where you were like, I just can't do this anymore. It's too much.
Yeah. So I tore my Achilles in spring training of 2018. It was going into my first full season. And then about 10 weeks later, I re-tore it again. And it was just kind of like a mental grind from that point on. Even if I felt physically okay, it was like trying to trust my tendon again and, trust my baseball movements and stuff. And got to a point, I played in one extended spring training game in 2019, woke up the next day and like couldn't even walk to the bathroom. And I'm like, man, like if this is what it's going to be like, this isn't worth it. And so 2019 off season came and, it got to the lowest point where I'm like, I don't see a way forward. I don't know how I'm going to get out of this. And, it's probably time to start looking for something else. And I actually sat down with my mom at a witch and basically told her, hey, like, I'm seriously considering quitting. This is like a really difficult decision, but I'm definitely just don't feel like it's going the right way. And mentally, it feels like it's just draining me. And, she said, don't regret anything in life. And I think you should stay the course. And had a similar conversation with my dad a couple hours later and gave me the same response. And, fortunately enough, I listened to them. Going into spring training, it was looking like I was going to be in high A and back to it. And then COVID happened and the whole world of baseball, whole world shut down. And, so I just kind of had some time where it gave me 2 or 3 months to be at home with my family, not away from them, feel their love and, go out there, play tennis with my mom and sister, really all we could do at the time. And, it kind of got me back into playing shape and played in a collegiate summer league for 6 weeks and then ultimately got invited to the alternate site, played well there, went to Instructs, and then they added me to the 40-man. And, it's just crazy how, if you just stick to it, it turns around for you.
Wait, you were playing in a men's league and then you got put on the 40-man? I mean, you were playing because there's no way you had eligibility as a professional to go play. And so you were playing in a men's league.
So it was basically like it was a culmination of like indie ball guys, of pro guys, and then a majority of like college guys. It was kind of like just a league thrown together. It was basically in a sense a men's league, and I played for 6 weeks. It was 7 inning games, like every other day, and kind of got some timing back. I kind of got some just baseball. Like getting back into baseball shape in a sense. And right when the season was over, I texted Chris Getz, and I'm like, "Hey, I can be up in Schaumburg at the alternate site in 5 hours if you need me." And he texted me. He's like, "Hey, I was about to text you," and I actually went up there for another month and a half and played well up there, and it just kind of rolled from there.
Yeah, Getsy's got a subscription to the beer league baseball video.com. So he was definitely watching you play against some old retired dudes, but that's great. A bunch of beer league guys are now like, "Hey, Burger made it, so we can definitely stay ready." So you're keeping dreams alive. Talk to us about a little bit how Michael Soroka and you kind of formed your relationship based on your Achilles tendons.
Yeah. I mean, at the time when I tore my second one, I didn't know anybody in professional sports that had torn it twice. A lot of guys obviously tore it once and got back, but I had no recollection of anybody in a situation like me. And, so I kind of felt like I was paving it on my own and not really sure if I was ever going to get back. And, Soroka tore his. And, at the time I shot him a DM like, "Hey man, like, if you need any thoughts or anything on like how rehab goes, like I'm praying for you. Just let me know." And then I don't know. I think he was like 8 months in versus like the 10 weeks I was in, and he retore it. And that's when we really started to get in contact and have a discussion about just what it's like to tear it twice. And you feel like you're at a point in your rehab where you're finally on the mend, and it happens again. And so we had a really good relationship, and had similar journeys in terms of like the surgeon and whatnot. And we had a really good discussions over the next year or so, when he was going through it and I was kind of back on the mend. So he's such a good dude, and I always enjoyed those conversations because there's not many people that go through it twice and get back to where they were at before.
Jake, you grew up in St. Louis. You grew up a Cardinals fan. I mean, I don't know. Did you ever ask me for your autograph? I don't think so, but it's okay. I was a longtime Cardinal member. You were there in 2011, right, for the World Series? Game 6, Game 7, right?
Mm-hmm.
The David Freese games?
Yeah, it was Game 6, sitting under Big Mac land. There's that like second little terrace right there, and I was at the Game 6 game.
Okay, I was there too, but I was not on Big Mac. I was freezing my ass off in left center field because it was freezing there. But so you obviously grew up a Cardinals fan. Tony La Russa is a god in St. Louis, still is a god in St. Louis. Then you got to play for him, okay? And then he took all the heat in 22. Or was it, 22, I guess? Yeah, 22. Yep. You guys, 21, you guys won. 22, you guys just weren't very good. It just happens. Bad year. Did he deserve all that heat, or was it just because he was who he was? And I mean, listen, let's be honest. If you know Tony a little bit, he does have a little bit of – he can be kind of prickly at times, right? Like, he's not always happy, shiny, hey, let's go team, you're the best. So do you think he deserved the heat he got, and should he have been given more time in Chicago?
Yeah, I mean, I've always enjoyed every single moment I've had with Tony. He's a living legend in the game, and getting to learn as much as I could from him was incredible. And obviously it's crazy, like full circle. You're watching him manage, then I'm playing for him, and then I'm watching Skip play, and now he's my manager. And so it's crazy how small the baseball world is. I think that season it was a culmination of a lot of things, a lot of injuries. It was just kind of one of those like down years, and unfortunately Tony got the blame, which, it's business in baseball. It can be tricky for sure, but I've always enjoyed Tony, and I learned a lot from him. So I'm definitely grateful for him.
All right. since you're a St. Louis native and all the city connect with the city, it's rare that somebody outside of the city really connects with the jersey. So really, I guess they must be hitting them all on all cylinders. I like the Philly one. I'm from outside of Philly. So as a St. Louis guy, Austin Wynn kind of had a little, he was kind of like, well, their city connects. What do you think as a Lou guy?
I think like the City Connect should always be different than what their normal jerseys look like. You look at our Miami one where it's that red and light blue. You look at the Philly one. There's a lot of these jerseys. You look at the DC one. I honestly, when I saw it for the first time, I thought they should have put the that crest, that one right there on their sleeve. That should have been like the main focus of the jersey, because that's such like a unique thing to St. Louis, that logo of like the St. Louis flag. I think that should have been more of the mainstay, but to each their own. But yeah, it's I always like the different from any color scheme that you have, just so the guys with flair can add a little more to the wardrobe. But I'm not a guy with flair by any means. I feel uncomfortable when I'm wearing white cleats with gray jersey, but I love the flair of stuff. So that's why I love our Miami ones here.
I was going to say, you're in Miami. They have red jerseys, okay? You were in Chicago. You had to love the White Sox ones, all black, right, with black. So you're like, oh, yeah, look at me go. It's all black. To me, this one is very mid. I mean, they basically the same jersey, and instead of St. Louis, they just wrote the Lou and made it red. Like, I think, everyone loves the birds on the bat, but I thought they just could have done something way, red. And like you said, the crest, the St. Louis crest or whatever it is. So I'm on your same page, but the White Sox were the best first ones, and they're still the best ones. Sorry.
Yeah, I love the White Sox ones. I think this year's collection, I like the Rays ones the best, just because there's like attention to detail in every single part of the jersey, and they use the entire jersey. So that's I think out of this year's bunch so far, that's my favorite.
Okay, Jake, let's finish with this. Your own merch. So referee asks, I'm one of many that requested we bring you on ASAP. Said, what's the deal with Burgertron and Smash Burger T-shirts?
We're working on it. My wife is a unbelievable designer of gear, so there's some really cool ideas that there's only one of ones right now that she's made, but we're trying to get that into the mainstream.
Okay, I like it. We'll keep an eye out for it. You let us know when it's up, and we'll show the world. All right?
Yeah, appreciate it.
Hey, yeah. Jake, make sure you tell – I'm texting John Jay right now. Make sure you tell him that you were on today, because he's just dying to come on here. And we've had his best buddy Descalso on, and John is like, when can I come on? I'm like – and I just texted him and said, another Marlin and no Jay.
No,
so
yeah.
Just make sure you rub it in.
Hey, Jay,
yeah,
I do have a bone to pick, because I feel like every time you were in the Chicago clubhouse, like you tried to avoid me. I don't know.
No, I just tried to stay out of your way. I didn't want to listen. I wasn't going to go up to anybody and be like, "Hey," like I was trying to I would talk to Rob, the clubhouse guy, Boffy, Bechtel, the people that I knew from when I was there, BJ, the video guy, and the people I knew. But listen, as a player, when I was playing, you didn't want random person walking up to you to be like, "Hey, Jake, how are you?" It was like, all right, there were certain guys I knew, like Giolito and some of the old, Hendricks and Lance and some of those guys that I knew. So I was like, I could talk to them. But like when a guy's just doing his thing, I didn't want to be like, hey, Jake, how's it going, buddy? I'm like, no, go do your thing, dude. It's cool. You're doing awesome. Like, keep going.
I thought I should go up to Andrew Vaughn and start talking to him, and then you ignored me 2 lockers down. I don't know.
Oh, well, I apologize. But hey, you know what?
Who was hitting better?
Yeah, Vaughn was hitting better at the time, so.
Oh, I'll say this, though. If I ever do a Marlins game, I'll make sure I come say hi to you. How's that?
All right. I'll let Jay know, though, that you have a message for him.
Okay, yes, please do. And ask him, say, hey, John, I talked to the guy who arrested you once, and just let him go.
You told me that story. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah,
it is. Well, Jake, awesome having you on, man. Appreciate the time. Keep doing your thing, and we'll grab you down the road, all right?
Yeah. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Yeah, same here. Jake Berger from the Miami Marlins joining us on FT Live, and Kenny Ballgame's going to join us in just a sec. So stay tuned for a little inside scoop with Ken Rosenthal. But that was fun. I always love when a player has a little something for AJ at the buzzer.
Yeah.
So
why do they always do it at the end, though, as they're getting off the air? Like, let's bring it up at the beginning and we can talk about it.
Because they don't know anything from it, you know?
Henry Davis did it. You guys are staticky. You guys are staticky, but Henry Davis did it. He was kind of right out of the jump. He was like, "Well, you did kind of bury me," which was good because it kind of broke the ice a little bit. Jake seemed like he was. I get it. I hadn't been in the big league clubhouse for a little while, and you just don't feel what AJ was talking about. You just don't feel comfortable. But that is why we have a guy like Ken Rosenthal who feels really comfortable in locker rooms. He's not afraid to just mix it up whenever he's in there, but he's not even ready to come on the show yet. So when he does come on the show, that has to be one of my questions, because AJ just said it. I just dealt with it in KC. There's guys I played with that are in the locker room, and I want to go and talk to certain guys, but I also don't want to get in the way because I don't know. Maybe this is like the 30 minutes that they're getting ready for their game. Maybe it's the 15 minutes that they have where they really just get their last locked into the scouting report, or they're watching video and it's like, my fat head comes in front of them and they're like, "Hey, you're really hitting the ball good, Bobby Witt Jr. It's nice to meet you." So, and having a show, some guys will be like, "Oh, great, Kratz is back. He's probably going to ask me to be on his awesome show. It's so boring when he comes in here." So anyway, it is definitely awkward, but I love that he called you out. Yeah, I don't hear you guys.
Now I know. All right, so from now on, every time I'm in a locker room, I'm going to go up to every guy and say, "Hi." Hi.
Hi, I'm AJ Pierzynski, and I support your whatever.
Because, like I was just in Texas and Seattle, or Texas and Anaheim, right? I walked in the locker room. There wasn't one angel in the locker room. There was one guy, Tyler Anderson, and I just waited. He was getting dressed, and I was like, "Hey, good job last night." He dealt.
Where was everyone?
Hell if I know where they were.
They knew the media was coming. They bounced.
There was one guy in there. It was Anderson. I said hi to him, and then I went and had a talk with Wash, and Wash was awesome, as he always is, positive and how good they are. And I was like, "All right, Wash, you're looking at a different team, but
got to get the bunt down."
Dude, that was. Listen, I did a game on Saturday night. It was it was so bad of a game. It was good because there was so many things that were done piss poorly at a big league level that it actually made it such a great game. And at one point, you mentioned trolls. A guy on Ken. He got rained out. He got rained out on Saturday. So he kissed my ass, Ken. But on this, someone wrote on there, the Fox broadcasters laughing during a game is just unacceptable. And I'm like, laughing? Oh wait, we're not supposed to have fun during this game. We're just supposed to sit there and because there was so much shit that happened, and we're like, all you could do was laugh.
That's insane.
Base running mistakes and this and pitching and it was just like whatever.
Okay, that's insane. Let's get to the inside scoop. Ready for Ken? Here we go. Ken, have you ever laughed on national television?
Many times. And I'm just happy to be on the show after AJ's wonderful introduction there. Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Yeah.
You're well rested, Ken, because you didn't have to work on Saturday night while some of us were grinding away.
AJ, what would you like me to do about that? Walk up to the rain clouds? I'm down pretty low, as you've mentioned many times before.
Yes, walk up, find a ladder, climb the clouds, and say stop.
All right, let's get to biz.
Let's get with it, Scott. Let's get on with it.
You wrote about Bobby Witt Jr., Gunnar Henderson, and more as we start to talk about the All-Star game. Yes, we're in mid-May, so let's start talking about it. Give us a little synopsis of what you wrote about.
Well, it just occurred to me the other day that, man, these two guys are really good and they're really young. And we're looking at players who, for the next 10 years or more, could be just fixtures in our sport, among the best players in the game. And I just wanted to ask people, well, who do you think is better? And I started with that premise. And the All-Star game kind of was a leaping off point simply because one of them will be voted, I would expect, to the All-Star team, the starter, and the other one will be a reserve. But you never know what happens in the voting. And what I did yesterday was I sent out text to a number of people in the game, players, coaches, managers, just asking which of the three they preferred. I included Anthony Volpe because at the time, Anthony Volpe was 12th in F WAR. And I know WAR is not the end-all, be-all, but he was up there too. And I thought, okay, maybe some people would want to include him in the conversation. What I got back was it's Henderson and Witt and Henderson. These guys are very different players in certain respects, but at the same time, two of the best right now in the game, ranking in the top 5 in WAR. So that was what I wanted to write about. It's just interesting to me that we have a number of great young shortstops in the game right now, headed by those two. But also you can look at Ellie De La Cruz, Ezekiel Tovar, Mason Wynn. I can go right down the line. O'Neal Cruz. There are a number of under 25 players, 25 and under players, I should say, who are making impacts with their teams. CJ Abrams is another one. So that was the launching off point. If you guys remember, we've had a number of times in the game's recent history when there has been a wave of shortstops, 15 and 16, when Seager and Correa were starting to come. Then you go back to the late 90s, A-Rod, Jeter, Nomar. So this is a cool time in the game's evolution, and we've got this next wave coming, and it's pretty darn good.
Is it as good? I know we've seen the other careers. Are they starting out as good as those other guys, or was it more the names and they were going with A-Rod with MVPs and Jeter into the playoffs? Do we need to see more before we can say, it's like that group?
Well, I don't know that we can say they're at the level of those players just yet. But Gunnar Henderson was Rookie of the Year last year. Bobby Witt Jr. did something that has never been done before. First 2 seasons, 20 homers and 30 stolen bases in each of them. So they are making their own mark in the game. Both of them are. And it's hard to compare always. You guys know this. But at the same time, these guys are in an exalted place right now in our sport, and it's really cool to see. Gunnar Henderson leading the majors in home runs with 16. And this guy, there was talk of moving him off of shortstop, remember, for Jackson Holliday. This was a while back, but it was thought, maybe he'll be at third base, Holliday at short. I don't know if that's going to happen. It seems to me Gunnar Henderson will be the guy at short for the Orioles for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, it's a good call. Do you feel
he's pretty good, by the way, just saying.
Gunnar? Yeah. I mean, he's got a home run per day right now. And actually, I was going to ask, just to double up on that, Ken, do you feel like the Orioles should get more credit for what they've put together right now? Because Gunnar Henderson was not a first-round pick. I know he was, a second-round pick. But it's not like they just got number 1 picks for 5-6 years in a row. They did tank. They did that classic tear it all down, pick towards the top of the draft for a while. But this all had to hit. And he's one of the examples of them finding, quote, a gem, a guy who should have been a 1-1 if we look back now.
That's true, Scott. Now, for the most part, they've hit on the first rounders, and that is the key to what is going on right now. I'm talking about Adley Rutschman, Jordan Westburg, Colton Cowser, Heston Kjerstad is currently in the minors. These guys were all number 1 or first round picks, I should say. So they've done a great job with those guys, and they had Grayson Rodriguez left over from the previous regime. It's been impressive to see what they've done, because even if you say, well, they've just hit on their first rounders, not every team does that. We've seen that. So they had high picks. They tanked to get there. We all know that. We've talked about it quite a bit. But at the same time, they've drafted well, they've developed well, and clearly they've transitioned these guys to the major leagues well. And that's why they are where they are right now. And it's really impressive to see this.
Not debating if the Pirates' 1-1 pick in Paul Skeens is going to push them to the playoffs right now. What kind of impact is just his entire journey this year, including his last 2 starts in the big leagues, going to have on other teams, how they move forward? Because he was ready. He was clearly ready. He dominated AAA. They didn't call him up. Pitch count, service time manipulation, all that stuff. What kind of impact? Because I think his impact on the game right now is phenomenal based on how other teams are going to handle their prospects.
I would agree with that, Eric. And the Pirates' rationale was we want to build him up slowly, and we want to do it in the minor leagues where there's less intensity, and that was the route that they chose. Clearly, the way Skeens has come out of the gate here, it looks like he could have been here a lot sooner. I don't know that I can fault the Pirates for this. They're trying to be careful. They're trying to protect this guy. Did service time play into it? I would bet it did. They would deny that, of course. But as we've seen under the current collective bargaining agreement, the one thing that really has had a positive effect is that rule or the idea that was put in about if you are a top 100 prospect, I believe it is, top 100 prospect on a multiple list, a consensus top 100. You start the season on opening day and you win a major award like Gunnar Henderson did last year. Your team gets an extra pick. That has, to some degree, discouraged some of the shenanigans that took place earlier. Actually, quite a bit, I believe it's discouraged that. So that's been a positive development for the game. Now, if you're the Pirates, you could say, well, we can bring Skeens in right away and maybe get that extra pick. But they felt, and I'm not going to criticize them for this at this point, the way injuries have plagued our game, they felt that it was best just to go slowly. I know John Smoltz has said on our air in Fox that, hey, why not bring him up earlier? And a lot of people believe that. It was silly, right? You're wasting innings down there. They're still innings, but they're not as stressful. So that is the route they chose. We've seen other players, position players in particular, start the season right away with their teams, and it's worked out. So I don't know that this has a particular effect. Skeens, to me, seems to be almost a unicorn in so many ways. I don't know that it will change the way other teams think about their number one guy going forward.
Ken, Skeens was the first overall pick in the draft just last year. And you said the word, which I don't know has ever been used on here before, shenanigans. So Shota Imanaga, he's got some shenanigans, and they're awesome. From his interviews to what he does in the mound when he bows to the umpire when they throw him a new ball. What kind of impact has he had? And he's the best pitcher not only in the NL Central, but in the National League. And could he win a Cy Young? Because he has been unbelievable for the Cubs.
If he continues at this rate, AJ, he's the Cy Young winner. There's no question about that. And he has saved the Cubs. Remember, they had all of these injuries early. Seiya Suzuki, Justin Steele, Bellinger right down the line. And then lately they've been without Horner and Swanson, and they lost Wicks. So they've needed this kind of performance to kind of stabilize them during this turbulent time, which has also included Kyle Hendricks kind of having his difficulties. So Imanaga has been a total revelation. And we've been working on something at The Athletic. It'll be coming out soon. Talking to people about, well, why did this guy only get $53 million and Yamamoto get $325? I know Yamamoto's 25 years old while Imanaga is 30, but my goodness, Imanaga seems like he is the steal of the free agent class right now. I know it's still relatively early. It's 9 starts, but it's the best 9 starts to begin a major league career that we've seen. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he does, AJ, the rest of the summer and into the fall, how he holds up. But man, it's been awesome to watch this guy pitch, and he is a lot of fun. I wouldn't call what he does shenanigans. I would call it just some cool things that he does. Shenanigans are a negative to me. He doesn't do shenanigans.
He is pure entertainment with the heater and the splitter and the mannerisms on the mound. And I look forward to his post-game interviews because he usually drops something funny. So he's got tons of personality. All right, so Ken, we appreciate the time. I'll see if we can say bye to you in a nicer way. AJ, do you want to say bye to Ken?
Yeah, Ken, rest up because you might actually have to go on the air on Saturday.
Can you say,
so
Ken?
Rest up, Ken.
Can you say, Ken?
Actually,
you're the best?
AJ, rain is in the forecast this weekend in Cincinnati.
Can you give him a Ken, you're the best? Give him something nice, a Ken, you're the best?
Yeah, he's the best at rain delays, apparently.
All right, we tried.
He started off with an expletive, so, we'll just end it right there.
Yeah, because I was in the middle of something, and I got Claudia. I'm learning from Scott. I do what I want.
I'm going to give the whole world a clue. We might be able to limit the expletive soon. That's all I'm going to say. Ken, thank you very much for catching on.
I can't wait, Scott.
Yes. We'll see you on Fair Territory on Thursday, all right?
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal on FT, but also on Fair Territory, as I mentioned. If you're new to the party, Ken and Alana Rizzo host a live show on this very channel, 12:30 Eastern time, goes up until 1, the start of Foul Territory, 1 to 3, every single Thursday. And Ken's Fair Territory came out yesterday and still very, very relevant and worth a listen if you want to check that out. He does talk about Skeens. He talks about the struggles of Edwin Diaz, gets a Blue Jays question in there from Grill and Ken, and a lot more. So go check that out when you get a chance.
Ken just laughed. Because you asked Ken, do you ever laugh? And he just laughed. And I kind of like his laugh. It was kind of like, ha, ha, ha.
I can't believe you got, I mean, trolls will say anything, but you can't laugh on a game broadcast?
Mm-mm.
What is this, surgery?
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I think they laugh in surgery, or at least in Grey's Anatomy or something. I don't know. All right, let's get to our language learning app that we love so much, and that is Babbel. If you're trying to learn a new language, there's only one place to go. And when you hear that noise, you know what you got to do. It's the science-backed language learning app that actually works. It's designed by real people for real conversations. We love that word on FT. And Kratz is working on Spanish. I'm working on Spanish. Are you working on Polish?
No.
Why? You don't want to be a part of the Polish national team?
You don't think they speak English?
I mean, I think it would be more endearing if you could mix in some Polish.
I know a couple Polish words, but we're not allowed to say them on the air.
Okay, well, if you would like
expletives.
Yes. If you would like to learn
I would love to learn
Polish.
If you'd learn it for me and then just write down it for me, that'd be great.
That's what Babbel's awesome for.
That is the beauty of it. You could do 10 minutes or less. Yes.
All right, well, someone send me a QR code and then I'll try it.
Done.
I'll probably do Spanish. It's more relative.
Okay, fine. I actually thought you were going to go all in on Polish, but Spanish does.
I can do more than one. I'm smart.
I'm not.
He has more than 10 minutes a day. He's got extra time.
I wish I did.
It is an app that helps you obviously improve your language skills, and the speech recognition technology helps you to improve your pronunciation, your accent, if you're looking for real conversations, right? And not just the grammar and the school stuff, which you can do there too, but you know how we like to talk on here,
roll your R's?
Then go for it. I can try. That's tough for me. That's next level, but they do try. So a special limited time deal for our listeners and for AJ right after the show. Get up to 60% off your Babbel subscription, only for FT listeners or watchers at babbel.com/foul, F-O-U-L. Get up to 60% off at babbel.com/foul, spelled BABBEL.com/foul. Rules and restrictions may apply.
Scott, I'll learn one more time. I'll learn Polish if you learn Russian.
Boom, there it is. And that sound means no, but I will do Spanish. That is beyond my level of education.
Now that we're, yes, fine. I do have a question. The SEC baseball tournament is on the TV over here, Kratz.
Yes.
They have two bases. They have a green base and a white base. When did they start doing that? This tournament?
No, my son was telling me that they were talking about implementing it and that some of the conferences were implementing it. So I don't know if they implemented it like halfway through this year before the season started. You're talking about at first base, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And my question is, can the first baseman slide his foot across to catch the ball on the other side and touch the green base?
I also wonder, like on a tag play, that the runner is going to be, this much farther away from the first baseman. So what if he happens if he can't reach him? I don't know.
And you can't reach him. Oh, well.
But what if he like slides? But what if he like hook slides? What if he hook slides? Because he's more than 3 feet then. Because if you hook slide out to touch the green base, I know we're talking about like 6 plays a year, but it has to be discussed. I don't know what those rules are.
Also, I'm guessing that one base is for first baseman and one base is for the runner. No? I'm guessing the first baseman can't tag either base to make the out.
But can the runner tag either base?
Probably not. My guess is, and I don't know, I'm not the college baseball expert, although Hot Sheet's coming up after this show. Those guys know. My guess is that the runner only gets the base on his side. And the first baseman gets
did his cleat just so it touched the green? Like, is that? I don't know. I'm intrigued by it, but I haven't actually seen it. But obviously now that the conference tournaments and all that stuff is cranking up, I'm excited.
Yeah, some of what you just said too sounds like the neighborhood play, right? Remember when replays coming out, people are like, are we going to be that ticky-tacky, and it's like,
Yes,
we have to. You can't do in between. You can't, because you can't be like, oh, well, that one was so close that it's fine. We didn't usually call that. You just can't. That's how replay works. Sorry, no fun police here, as usual. You know me. We can only talk about baseball, and the rules are the rules. That's what he said?
Yeah, that's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said.
That's what he said. Let's start with the Marlins. So Sixto Sanchez had a rough start the other day against the New York Mets. Skip Schumacher is frustrated because his team last year was proving the world wrong and making the playoffs eventually and winning one-run games left and right. He does not have the same personnel this year, and that includes his starter, who once was a top prospect. Remember, people were like, this is the next Pedro Martinez. Obviously, he's gone through a ton of injuries, but here's Skip on Sixto after giving up 4 runs in the first on the weekend in his start against the Mets.
Skip, we'll start with Sixto in the first. Obviously, the struggles in the first inning have really been a pattern this season, but today in particular, what do you think led to that struggle with command?
I don't know, but that's unacceptable in the first inning. So if he wants to start at this level, he's going to have to be better in the first inning. It's just what it is. We had a heart-to-heart underneath, and so did Stott. It was better, obviously, the second through the fourth inning, but he's put us in a hole early. And this level, it's tough to come back from 4 runs every single time. And it's not giving his teammates a chance to win.
Guys good with that? If you hear that, or is it too much?
Listen, there's been a ton of guys that have had trouble in the first inning. You just got to figure it out. And what do you do? I mean, Tom Glavine and Maddox and those guys always had trouble in the first inning. A lot of great pitchers have trouble in the first inning, whether it's nerves, excitement, whatever you want to call it. They're not feeling it. They haven't figured out the mound yet, whatever it is. But, I mean, it happens. Skip's trying to send a message to Sixto saying, hey, we got to figure this out, or otherwise you're not going to be here anymore. I don't know. I mean, I'm fine with it. I get it. And I appreciate the fact that he said him and Stoudemire, the pitching coach, had a meeting with him right after it happened. Good for them. That's the way to do it. He handled it, and Sixto knows where he stands. And now you go to the press and say, because the lady asked the question, and he said, this is where we're at. And I appreciate that. I respect that out of Skip, and, maybe he'll be better.
And we're not going to give up on him, but he's not a top prospect anymore. Like, it's time to go. If he wants to start, he's got to figure this part out. If he wants to be a starter, we think he's a starter. That shows you what he can do second through fifth innings. Like that line that Skip talked about when he was asked about Sixto, is that too much publicly, or are you cool with that? Obviously, I love that because I want the fan access. And if you're going through it right now, fans want to hear about it. I think they're connecting with Skip because they're pissed at the organization.
Well, I think Skip showed a real moment. I think, to me, reading Skip's comments, maybe I'm reading too much into it, but there was something that they saw, whether it was, his bullpen before the game, the way he was going about it. I hope it wasn't just like, well, I hope you figure this out because you're not doing good. To me, his comments, like to say we took him underneath and talked about this, like we can't have that. I doubt it's just giving up rockets in the first inning. Like, are you really giving us your best effort? Like, is that a thing? I don't know. I don't know what precipitated this conversation or these comments, but whatever they talked about kind of whipped him into shape because he didn't give up any more runs.
Yeah, and he's not the same upside guy anymore. Like, he went through so much injury-wise, shoulder injury-wise. He's not, like he said, he's not a top prospect anymore. He wasn't pitching well in a bullpen role. He was thrust into the starting role because they ran out of starters besides Max Meyer. It's for another day. But
where's he?
This was a guy, no comment. This was a guy who had a 3.46 ERA in 2020 and people were gushing, but it was 39 innings and there were injury concerns about him that did play out that way over the next few years. He has come back, which is awesome, but his four-seam fastball was 99 in 2020 and the cutter at 89. Now, trying to find quick velo here. I know it's not even close. 94 and the cutter's 84. It's a big ass difference when you come back. You have to pitch differently.
I mean, he might not even be in the big leagues if it wasn't for all the guys that were hurt. So, listen, we want 6-2 to do well. I saw him in 2020 in the playoffs, and he was nasty. He was really good with a 100-mile-an-hour fastball, but he got hurt, sadly, and he bounced back. He's made it back. But is he going to be a guy that you can count as being a top-of-the-rotation guy? Probably not anymore. So he's got to figure it out. But the Marlins aren't going to the playoffs anyways. I mean, their leader said it. So just let the guy pitch and try to figure it out. Maybe next year he'll be better for you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let me ask you about another pitching situation that I'd like to dissect for a little. That's what he said. Last night, the Astros were handing it to the Angels 6-1. And Framber Valdez ends up letting up 7 runs in the 5th inning against the Angels, 3 home runs in that inning, including 2 3-run shots. Like, he got tattooed in that inning. And some people are sitting there watching, including myself, and you're like, okay, if you've seen Framber Valdez over the years, when he starts to unravel, it doesn't ravel back. I don't know if that was the right way to put it, but the mental game is something he's been very open about, and it doesn't turn around. So that was a game I think they're going to circle at some point and be like, damn, how did we let it get that bad at that point? Okay, so fast forward, post game. Here's Chandler Rome, our friend from The Athletic. Espada, the manager, Framber, and Yainer Diaz, his catcher, all said that Valdez went away from the game plan in the 7-run 5th. Quote, Yainer did a really good job calling pitches. I was the one that decided to try and change the game plan. I had to deal with the consequences. That's what Framber said. And Yainer Diaz said, I could try to force him to throw a certain pitch, but he knows how he feels and how his pitches feel. He makes the decision. This is the first time this has happened, but maybe me as a catcher, I should have forced him more to throw certain pitches. Always a good time to have 2 catchers as the OG hosts on this show. How do we explain this? Is this a loss? I don't think he should have been in that long, but also, wait, what? He completely changed the game plan and everyone's against it? Is that normal?
Okay, there's so many layers to this. First of all, I'm going to say this. Why change the game plan if it was working? 2, it's ultimately the pitcher's ball, and they have the right to throw whatever they want. Now, if it's not working, you have a right as a catcher to go out there and say, hey, this ain't working. Let's go back to what was working. Martin Maldonado, this is the reason, one of the big reasons why Dusty Baker loved him so much, because he would go out there and get in Framber's ass on the mound, like every game. And then Yainer Diaz, this is why Dusty didn't want Yainer Diaz to catch, because he's like, with the veteran guys, he doesn't have the rapport to go out there and do this. Now, I'm going to stand up for the catcher, because it's always I'm a catcher. I was a catcher. You put down your best suggestion, and the pitcher throws whatever he wants. Now, with PitchCom, they type it in themselves. What is the catcher going to hit? Shake off? No, and you only get a limited number of mound visits, so you can't go out there and yell at him in the middle of an inning and say, dude, what are you doing? We need to throw these pitches. So I feel like this was – listen, Framber said it. He owned up to it. It was like, it was my decision. Yainer was calling the right pitches. But this is also a discussion you need to have between starts now. Espada, Yainer Diaz need to sit down. The pitching coaches need to sit down. Everybody needs to sit down and say, hey, guys, we need to get on the same page if this is working, or this is this or this or that or whatever it is, and figure it out. Because if they're going to get back into this race, they need Framber Valdez to be really good. And when you're beating the Angels this badly, that should be a win with Framber Valdez on the mound, not a 7-run inning and all of a sudden you're getting your ass whooped. And shout out Joe Adele, who's on the show yesterday. FT Power got him.
And D, too. He was awesome yesterday. Yeah, FT Magic. But my thing is, it's a 7-run inning, and it's not the first or the second. And regardless, I mean, you know the pitcher, whatever happened with the game plan, that actually should lead to you pulling the plug even quicker. Okay, this dude changed the game plan. It was working for a while. I've seen this movie way too many times. Like, he either has it or he doesn't. When he doesn't, whenever that happens, it really starts to fall apart. How do I let this turn into a 8-6 game in that inning alone? Also, not to mention, the Astros bullpen has actually been on fire. The last few weeks, everything's back. Abreu's back, Hader's back, everyone's dealing. I know they're down a pitcher right now, a starter in Blanco. You know, you got to skip a start, whatever. But still, they could have handled it at that point and said, you know what? Let's move on, because we can't give up this game.
They had runners on set. I was watching this game because it had my BetMGM Locks implications. Gosh darn it. Freaking Framber But, like, I'm going to put a little bit on Espada here. Your bullpen, while not fully rested, you had your guys able to go. And like Scott said, they've kind of turned it around. Maybe they would have liked him to get through 5, but when there was 2 guys on and there was 2 outs, he got put in that situation, line drive, I think it was line drive and a walk. And so it's first and second. You can't let him come out of the game losing that game with the lead that they had. But I sit there and I go, so why did Espada not pull him there? I was, are you trying to get him the W? If that's the case, bad move. Yes, we already hit on what the catcher and the pitcher, dynamic is there. But maybe Joe needs to, he needs to check himself to see why he didn't come out there to make that change.
To me, it's inexperience at the manager and catching position. It is. I don't think this would have happened with Dusty and Maldi. Whatever. I get it. Like, it's over. Maldi's on a different team now. Yiner hits the crap out of the ball, and he's got to learn. Like, he's a younger catcher. But to me, this was just one of those games where you're sitting at home and you're playing armchair quarterback or whatever you want to call it, and you're like, is this really happening right now?
Happened quick, too.
It did happen quick, but it didn't. It's like, okay, take him out. I don't know. It just felt like the Astros fans were losing their minds because they've seen it, and it's not been the best start for them, and they're spoiled because it's been a really good team for years.
Yeah, but we've seen it how many times with Fromber, and we saw it last year in the second half. Once it hits fast, and holy crap, let's get someone up, and there's 5 runs on the board. You're like, oh wait, we couldn't even get a guy ready in time. And listen, a lot of this goes, and I'm never, because I'm not in the Astros clubhouse, and I don't know Fromber's mentality as well as the players in there. But like at some point, you got to be like, man, I got to figure out a way to control my emotions out there. I'm really good when I'm right, and as soon as it starts spiraling out of control, it happens so fast that he can't get it back. So there's got to be something about where you look in the mirror and say, all right, I'm going to take a deep breath here and figure this out again. I know that with the pitch clock, it's hard, but maybe it might be worth it. All right, I'm going to go 1-0 and take a ball just to get my composure back. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because, again, you're limited mound visits, right? You're limited the time between pitches. You don't really talk to the pitcher anymore because it's all buttons. And there's no way you can, put down signs of, there were times where you put down a sign forceful and the pitcher knew, better throw that pitch. Now, also, as a catcher, listen, you go out to the mound and you say, hey, we need to throw this pitch, and the guy doesn't throw it, and he's like, I want to throw this, and he gives up the hit. And there were times, listen, I know Kratz did this, you're like, fucking told you so, bro. You shouldn't have thrown that pitch. Right? I mean, that wasn't the pitch, but you wanted to throw it. And now you got to deal with it, right? And then you come into the dugout, and the pitching coach never goes to the pitcher. It's always to the catcher, right? Why'd you call that pitch? Hey, he wanted to throw that pitch. Go yell at him. Don't yell at me. I'll give my suggestion. He has the ball in his hand. It is the pitcher's ball. And again, it still goes back to this. It's execution. Whatever pitch you think is right, if you say, man, if we can just throw a bounce, a curveball, this guy will strike out. The pitcher goes, oh, poo, hangy, bangy, whack, 3-run homer. You're like, it was the right pitch. It just wasn't executed. So most of the time it's execution, not the plan. But there are times where the plan can help you get through situations. And as a young guy, listen, Diaz was there last year and he played a lot and he can really hit. But they didn't do him any favors. And this is not a knock on the Astros. They were so invested in Martin Maldonado that they never gave this guy a chance. And what they should have done is slowly eased him into it. But because they had Verlander, because they had Fromber, because they had Javier, and they all wanted Martin to catch him, Diaz never got a chance. So now it's all of a sudden it's your job. Well, shit, I've never done this.
Yeah,
I don't know how to talk to these guys. And again, I get it because you're in the heat of the moment, but this should have been a situation with Martin Maldonado. And I'm sure Victor Caratini, who's there now, busts his ass every day with Diaz and says, hey, we need to do this and this. And he's been around. But this should have started last year and worked its way up. But because of all, again, think about how much dysfunction has been in the Astros. They won a World Series and fired their GM, right?
That's epic.
I mean, if you remember going to I've done a million Astros games over the last few years. Dusty Baker's in a fight with the media in the front office for years about Maldonado or Diaz or whoever the other catcher was.
Mm-hmm.
It was every time you went in there, why is Maldonado catching? Because he's better. Okay, cool.
Diaz caught he started 42 games last year, caught 60. I mean, obviously,
Yeah, but he never caught Verlander.
Right, he didn't catch.
He didn't catch Fromber.
Yep.
Right, like he didn't do those, and those are the ones you need to get on your side.
Mm-hmm. It's a good call.
You need
good
those
talk.
reps. You need those reps.
I mean,
it doesn't mean Yonder. Anything that these guys are saying doesn't mean Yonder Diaz is not good. He is good. You need those reps. You need to get that burn behind the dish for situations like this.
Yeah, and again, I mean, listen, you got to talk. Like Kratz was a backup his whole career, right? Well, I guarantee you, especially when he was a younger guy as a backup, whoever the veteran, I'm sure, I don't know who the catcher was when he first came up, but
Chooch.
Who
Carlos
was it?
Ruiz.
Yeah,
Chooch,
he was in your ear. He was like, you need to talk to this guy about this, or you need to do this, and this is what he likes. And then you go to the pitchers and you say, hey, what do you want me to do? Like, tell me, I'll do whatever you want me to do. Like, if you need me to set up different, you want me to call it different, I'll do it. But you can't. I hated it when like a pitcher was like, oh, you called the wrong pitch. Well, fuck you. Call timeout and tell me to come out there. Like, you threw it. And you could shake your head. Mark Burley. That's one of the reasons I love Mark Burley. He never shook off. And he was like, he never blamed the catcher. He's like, I sucked. I didn't pitch well. Great.
Yep.
But when he pitched good, he's like, oh, the catcher nailed it, right? But there's certain pitchers I played with that were like, oh, well, he didn't put the right fingers down and he didn't set up correctly. Tell me, don't tell the media.
Yeah. No, it's a good call. And Lance Lynn was really good on this the other day on our show, too, talking about how it's his call, especially nowadays. And how he's
Remember Contreras last year, right, with the Cardinals? And
yeah,
listen,
they were all over
Jack
him.
Flaherty a lot of credit. He came out and owned it. It's like, I shouldn't have said what I said. But again, go to the guy. Like, if you're Framber Valdez, I mean, Diaz speaks Spanish. If Framber's like, you can't use language as a barrier, which has been used before in certain situations, right? It's not. You both speak Spanish. Go talk. Even if it's between innings, go talk to him and say, hey, man, I'm thinking about doing this, and let him have a conversation back with you. Don't just be like, I'm changing my mind in the middle of it. Why? It was working. You were winning. You were killing them.
I actually think, I mean, without getting too deep into it, Framber actually is a guy who's gone through so many of like the mental gymnastics, and he's been vocal about it, that he probably just needs the catcher to take more of an onus. Like, he needs everyone else to be like, yo, listen, stop. Don't do this. Take that out. We'll handle it. Like, I know it's tougher to do nowadays, but don't shake. Let me press the buttons and you just freaking pitch, because you got the talent, right? Physically, you're there. Sometimes mentally, you think too much. He's talked about that all the time. When he's not thinking and he's feeling calm, right, he can thrive. So take that off his plate. All right, good talk. This one's for the kids. Let's do our little baseballism seg, because AJ did a little how-to on Bat Path. And AJ and Kratz both did some videos that we're going to share throughout the next couple weeks. Todd Father will show some as well. Just some little tips for the kiddos, or for the pros, or for the high schoolers, whatever, right? So check this one out from AJ.
When I was a young player, I was probably in high school, maybe junior, senior in high school. I had some kids that I played with that I went on to play professional, and one of them talked to me one time about bat path. Bat path is a big thing people talk about now, launch angle, right? One of the things I was taught was make the bat look like a Nike swoosh, right? So the swoosh goes like this, and it goes slightly up to match the plane of the ball. So if you can work on, now it's not this, it's the hands go down and then it drops, right? And then you go into a swoosh. That helped me stay on plane with the ball, right? So if you can make your hands go in the Nike swoosh from here, down, and then up. So watch my back elbow. Here, down, and then slightly up. Now I'm not talking up like this, but flat, so you match the angle. The pitch comes down slightly, so if you can match that just a little bit, it's a good thing. So if you can just stand there and practice. Minimal effort, but it makes your body get used to a certain bat path. It'll help you in the long run.
There you go. Love it. Good work. We're going to post that, and we'll collab post it with Baseballism if you want to be able to show it to the kiddos. Baseballism.com, the official lifestyle brand of baseball. Kratz has the Baseballism shirt today. Do you like mine? I feel like I win today. You just got the classic. Good? Want to read it?
Joe Boo?
Yeah.
It's bad to steal Joe Boo's room. You think Jesus Christ couldn't hit a curveball?
Little major league play. Check it out. All right. Let's get to better than box scores. Oh, we don't have a fancy thing yet for it, but we will. Yes, we will. It's called Better Than Box Scores. So we're going over some game notes from last night. Let's start with the Mariners. Trailing the Yanks most of the game. Stroman dominated. Newsflash, Clay Holmes is human. He is. He gave up 4 earned runs. He hadn't given up any earned runs the entire year. I think it was the first 20 innings. No earned runs. There's your classic Sarah Lang's where the Yanks were in control for most of this game. They had won 7 games in a row. And credit to the Mariners offense, getting to one of the best pitchers in baseball so far this year. Clay Holmes is going to be an all-star. He's been freaking awesome.
Listen, they hit a couple balls that were like shanks.
That's how you beat them.
Shanks off of them. It wasn't like they were ripping the ball. I mean, there was some shanks. And and Clay Holmes probably went up to Todd Frazier after the game and was like, dude, I don't know your first game, bro. It might not be as bad. Like, for real.
Good job, Todd Father, on the call.
Yeah, good job. Except for Clay Holmes inning. Other than that, it was great. But, I mean, it happens. Oh, man. What was the play where it was like the play behind second base, and it was like kind of a bad throw, and then there was like a bloop. There was like bloop, bloop, ground ball off the base, and bloop, bad throw. It was like, oh my gosh. It was just one of those innings. You haven't given up any runs. All of a sudden, they all just piled on, and it just happened in this one. But I don't know. It was just one of them nights.
How do you beat the best closers in baseball when they're on their game? Make contact and cross your fingers. Right?
Yeah.
That's how you beat the best closers. How did you beat Mo?
And he walks. He walked 2 guys too.
That's true.
He walks too also.
Yeah.
Especially when I'm comparing him to other closers, he's a contact closer. He's about a 1 strikeout per inning guy. So these types of things can happen. But when you compound it with 2 walks, that's tough. They win the game. I mean, it's not tough math. It's a 4-3 game if your 2 walks don't score. When you get that much ground ball, he is a contact closer. He has strikeout stuff, yes, but that sinker will get weak contact. And he got some weak contact. It just didn't go well.
And don't forget the whole game. I don't know. I watched a lot of this game, and they were like, "Oh, the Mariners can't hit. The Mariners can't hit." The whole game, like Michael Kay just kept saying, "The Mariners numbers are this. They can't hit. They can't hit." And then all of a sudden, they scored those 4 runs in the 9th, and it was like, "Oops." I mean, listen, it was just bad luck for Clay Holmes. It didn't change anything.
That statement.
Todd Father's fault.
Yeah, Todd Father's fault. But that statement still stands. The Mariners are not a World Series lineup. It's not a World Series lineup. That's no secret if you've listened to this show. It's a World Series pitching staff.
Yeah, Logan Gilbert pitched. Staff. I mean, he made the one mistake. I mean, at one point it was Verdugo 3, Mariners 0.
Mm-hmm.
Verdugo hit the double, and then but I mean, Stroman made the one mistake. The guy hit the right fielder hit the home run.
Canzone. Dom Canzone. Yep.
And then other than that, I mean, Stroman pitched awesome. And you know what? I also love what Stroman did. I mean, it was probably unnecessary, but he tweeted out about Holmes. He's like, Holmes is one of the best closers in the world, and da-da-da-da-da. We'll be ready to go tomorrow. Thanks for your support, Yankee fans. Or something. Like, he kind of did what Rowdy did with Bednar, but he did it on Twitter instead of, like, in person. But it was cool. I mean, probably unnecessary, but I think Clay Holmes is going to be fine. But, I mean, it was cool to see guys do that.
I have to imagine Yankee fans understood how much success they've gotten in the first couple months and that you're going to get this. You're not going to get a perfect season. Yeah, here's the tweet. Clay Holmes is the best closer in baseball. Thankful to have him down there in the 9th for us day in and day out. Truly love this squad. It's a pleasure to show up and compete daily with my brothers. Grateful for the home crowd. Energy always on a million. On to the next. Yeah, he's pitching well. That rotation is one of the surprises of the year right now.
No, Luis Hill. Been unbelievable, right?
14
They didn't have Cole yet. Rodon's pitching well. Stroman's been good. Nestor's been Nestor, kind of fooling around, getting called for all kinds of things. You see the one where they stopped him and they're like, "You can't do that." And he's like, "Why? I was still doing the wrong.
I didn't fall."
Yeah.
it's like the friend that's like, "I can stand on 1 foot for like 5 minutes." No, you can't. But he's pitching better than last year. He
100%.
wasn't good last year.
He's also healthier.
Yeah, they're fun to watch.
Did you? I don't know, Kratz, how much of this game you watched, but at the beginning of the game, the energy is back in Yankee Stadium. Like the roll call was like so loud and like different than it's been in years past. I mean, you could hear it on TV. They were doing the whole, the roll call, and it was loud. It was like the way it used to be in Yankee Stadium.
You mean in old Yankee Stadium?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, they're doing what they need to do. The fire was kind of lit when they got Soto, but they're like, all right, well, we still need Blake Snell. We still need, okay. Then they got Verdugo. Then they got, Grisham was put in the Soto trade. And then they got dealt the hand of Garrett Cole getting hurt. And then Yankee fans were skeptical, like, oh, this is the same team, aging lineup. I don't like this team. And now that fire was stoked, and now they're just adding gasoline to the fire with the way that Garrett's getting closer and closer to coming back. The offense is doing what they're doing. Judge's in the top, I think he's second or third now in baseball with 13 dingers. Like, it should be good energy. It should be good energy in that stadium for the rest of the season.
One more little note, because we mentioned him yesterday. Jason Dominguez is joining the Somerset Patriots to continue his rehab tonight in New Hampshire. The Martian is looming. If an injury pops up, there will be a landing in the Bronx. Dude,
No, he's got to go to
the Bronx for a week and change.
He's got to go to New Hampshire. Whew. The shiver by the river. Ain't nobody want to start their rehab there. Short porch to right, though.
Dude, it's May 21st.
It's still cold, man. It's still cold.
It's 87 degrees today in New Hampshire.
What is it?
87.
It's going to be cold at night. The shiver by the river.
There might be lightning by the river because there's rain in the forecast, but 87. Wait, am I seeing this right?
It's Celsius.
No, it's Fahrenheit. 87. Tomorrow's 92 in New Hampshire. So it's finally heating up in the Northeast.
Northerners are going to melt when it's 92.
They can't handle it.
He's gonna hit a dinger, that short porch in right field in Mange, Vegas.
Yep. All right. The Hot Sheet Baseball America show that I host with my friends JJ Cooper, Ben Badler, Carlos Collazo, and many more will be right after FT. So we'll talk prospects, 3:00 Eastern time, live on the Baseball America YouTube channel. If you're watching this right now, you don't have to do anything. It'll flip you right to the next show. If you're listening to the pod, go check it out. We'll talk prospects. We're going to get really deep into the international scouting and signing situation today and the corruption and how the league is not dealing with it, all that stuff. So it's going to be a good combo. We started talking about it on our call this morning. All right, let's flip back to the next game. Better than box scores. Although I'm going to throw some numbers at you. The Mets are now 21-26. They've lost 11 of 16. They fall to Cleveland yesterday. Lindor made his return to Cleveland, mostly a nice ovation, which is expected. I mean, he did some great things there for the franchise. Mets seem to be one of those teams that can't hit, and then they can pitch that night, can't pitch, then they can hit that night. Obviously, Diaz was struggling over the weekend. The latest name that everyone's piling on is Brett Beatty, who has really struggled in the month of May. And he's, it seems to be finding him in tough spots where it's like, all right, we really need a knock here. And I think I wrote down he's at 42% K rate since like May 3rd, something like that. So there's a book on him right now, and he's getting beat up. They called up Vientos. McNeil's struggling. Lindor's actually struggling, hasn't turned it around yet, really. I mean, he had that 1 week where he blew up, but besides that, his numbers have been very subpar, and he'll be the first to talk about that. So anyway, all that being said, we look at big picture. I do think the Mets are going to be significant sellers again at the trade deadline. I am not seeing it. It's the same thing we talked about in the offseason. I think it's like the Red Sox. I think it's a peak of 500.
Who can they move? Pete?
Yeah.
JD?
Yeah.
They're not moving Lindor. They're not moving Nimmo.
No.
They're not moving McNeil.
I have a name
How about
for you.
I do too. I know the name. Can I guess the name you're going to say? Because he's going to get them a lot. Luis Severino.
Thank you.
Boom. You're going to get a lot for him. He looks good.
Yeah. I'm just looking at their lineup from last night.
Yeah.
Lindor's not going anywhere. Alonso possible, but gosh, that would just crush Met fans. Nimmo's not going anywhere. JD, okay, fine.
JD, Bader, Starling
Marte, would they get rid of him?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, I think they would probably pay someone to get at this point because he's been so up and down and just hasn't been. Marte?
No, who doesn't want a 40-plus home run first baseman? And the reports that we saw, he
The
turned
Dodgers?
down 157 million last year, and then I read a report that it was close to the trade deadline, so that's where that report came up with him to the Brewers kind of thing. And to me, like, you don't get sluggers like that at the trade deadline. So if he's available, I think that gets a lot. But if Sevy continues to have a 3.4 ERA and doing what he's doing, I think that is a huge piece for somebody to pick up at the trade deadline.
Gold mine. That'll get you a nice prospect. He's not super expensive.
Fader could be on the block.
Yeah, great for D. He's actually had he's clutch. Remember, he had the big playoffs for the Yanks. So some guys to think about. Let's bring in our friend. We can toss this around among many other topics. We got a nice little 15, 20 minutes with Pap.
He loves the Mets.
Jonathan Papelbon joining us right now, part of the FT fam, enjoying a nice afternoon cup
How you
of
think
coffee.
I love the Mets, man?
I mean, you played for the Phillies and the Nats. I figured you'd love the Mets.
Yeah. Mets are terrible, man. They're gonna sell everybody. I was listening to y'all. They're done. Stick a fork in them.
I think they expected that. This is what they talked about. I had a hard time believing it last year, but they said it's a 2-year rebuild. We're going to go nuts after this season, which has a really good free agent class. So, yeah, trade away, Pap, 2, 3, 4 other pieces like the ones we're talking about right now. You got 3 or 4 bats, and you got probably 2 or 3 pitchers that they can get some assets for. And I don't see it for them, especially in their division with Atlanta and Philly doing what they're doing. I don't see them better than most of the wild card teams we're talking about. So, yeah, I think they're going to be clear-cut sellers at this point.
Yeah, every GM, I think at this point, man, has those windows throughout the year, right? I think the window for the Mets right now is pretty much closed, and you have to start thinking about what players am I going to get my most bang for my buck? And man, I think Marte would be the biggest bang for your buck if I'm looking at the Mets.
Really?
Over Alonso?
Yeah, but I don't think Alonso's going. I think he's going to be a much, much harder piece to move, AJ.
Are you saying that, Pap, because the Mets potentially want to bring him back, and if you do trade the guy away and say, hey, this is going to help us, so swing back, it never happens that way?
No,
like
I look
Lester.
at it from no. See, I look at it from a different perspective. I look at it from the publicity side of it. You got to keep that one guy, and I kind of look at the Red Sox, a little similarity in here. They kind of got rid of your Bogarts, your Mookie Betts, everybody, but they kept the one guy, Devers, right? And then they said, okay, we're going to go and get this piece. Fortunately for them, Crawford has been amazing. Houck's been amazing. And they've so I think they're on the very kind of same path of the Red Sox, what they were last year.
Well, let's get into your Red Sox. So Houck Mania is very real. He just does his thing as usual. I think I looked the other day. So he's done 7+ innings 3 times this year already. He had done that once between 2020 and 2022. 7 shutouts now for the team on the pitching side. You're watching this team more closely than we are, and you've been around them quite a bit. Is the simplest reason that they're pitching differently, game plan wise? Like Breslow and company comes in there and they're like, listen, some of you don't have heaters that work that well, so let's tick that down 10%.
Well, yeah, it's the Breslow and Bailey scheme of, they're entering this new age where we're going to pitch behind almost. That's what I call it, pitching behind. I'm sure Kratzy and AJ can tell you their piece of it, but at the end of the day, you still have to have your fastball. But in counts where they're high leverage counts, they're tending to throw a lot more breaking ball pitches and off-speed pitches. But also, I mean, at the same time, like, you're talking about 2 guys right now that, I mean, shit, dude, they're top 30 ERA in the entire league. And you're talking about a guy who was just from, I don't know if y'all remember this, but last year got smoked and drilled in the face and shattered, I think, like 17 bones, right? Nobody really comes back from that. So to me, that's the most impressive thing with Houck. And then another thing is that he's changed from a pitcher that's going out there trying to get hitters to swing at different pitches and overthinking. I think now every pitch he throws is competitive. He's in the zone a whole lot more. And as a starter, the more competitive pitches that you throw, I feel like the longer you can go in an outing. And he's just changed his game to be a whole lot more competitive. And he's not throwing those ones that are, way out of the zone and falling behind in counts. Everything is around the zone for him this year. And that's been his biggest transition for me.
Yeah. And Sale's really anchoring this. Wait a minute. No. Imagine if they still had him to this rotation.
Yeah, but Kratzy, just as well as I do, though, like sometimes it takes like a change of scenery, man. And I think that was big for Sale. I think he just ran courses can get ran in Boston and New York and places very quick. Philly,
Why? Why?
I just think because so he went to the pinnacle. He won the World Series with him. He's at the top of his career. Then the next 2 years, he's at the absolute bottom. You go and look at all his years in the big leagues, 14, 15 now? Is the 2 worst years. So he had the 2 best years and the 2 worst years. So I think it just, as the fans, they appreciate what he did, but it's like, okay, we're going to move on pretty quickly here. So that's just the nature of the beast there.
Yeah.
But God, he is dirty this year, man. Look at that, bro. I wish
his
the Red
numbers
Sox
are off
still
the
had him,
charts
but who
this year.
knows if he would still be doing this if he was in a Red Sox uniform. Sometimes it takes a different uniform. It just does.
You're right. That's why you moved around so much. You tried to chase Kratz down at the end of your career. Or teams. Hey, what'd you think of Paul Skeen's second start? His first start was His second start, though, he went into Wrigley and was like, oh, you guys thought you saw me pretty good the first time? I'm going to shove it straight up your ass this time. 14 punchies, right? Six innings, no hits. It's pretty good.
Yeah, AJ. I mean, for me, the maturity, like when I look at him and I look at just the way he approaches the game, the way I look at little things, the way he walks on the mound, the way he takes the mound, his delivery. I look at people's eyes, man. I used to look into a lot of hitters' eyes and be like, okay, are we about to strap this on or do I got you? Like I see a very mature 21-year-old, and you just don't see that very often. I think somebody said he was a reader or something. I was watching one of the shows. He's an intellect guy maybe, but, to me, the maturity is already there. And I watched him obviously at Mississippi State when they played LSU a lot. And, man, the kid just – no stage seems to be too big for him. So I look for him to be in the big leagues a long time. And to me, what's the most impressive thing is because I used to lose command with velocity. So, for someone to be able to throw 100 mile an hour and still be able to control that is the most impressive thing to me.
So I can bet on it because you're the papnosticator. What type of team is going to get him? What type of team is going to get to him? Is it a strikeout team that's like, screw it. I don't care if I strike out. I'm going to rip this dude. Like, is it going to be a veteran team? Is it going to be a team that sucks? He faces the A's and they're like, all right, whatever. I can just kind of cruise through this lineup. Who's going to get him?
I don't think anybody gets him, Kratz. I don't think there's a team out there that can literally get him unless he is off of his game. Like if he went about it with a total wrong scouting report, read bats wrong that day, wasn't on sync with his catcher, just one of those just clusterfuck days, man. You have them, but I know good and damn well you guys have had pitchers out there where you're like, God Almighty, what do I put down for this guy today? We are just not together. If he has a game like that, then maybe somebody will get him. But other than that, man, I really enjoy this kid. He's, he's a Navy brat, man. He's a really good kid. And, man, I think the game needs this, man. And for me, being able to see our game get a guy like this of this caliber is just awesome to me.
What about closers? You watch your boy Edwin Diaz struggle over the weekend?
Yeah.
What's going through his head when he's going through that struggle?
First of all, like, there's no crying in baseball, right?
At all. None.
At all. Period. Like,
he wasn't crying on the field.
Somebody's in my clubhouse and they're sitting, they just blew the third game in a row and they're sitting there crying. I'm going to go up to them and be like, you're a loser, okay? Right now you're being a fucking loser. You need to pick this shit up. You're a winner. Like, who the hell cries in a big league clubhouse? That shocked me, man.
What did you have? When was the last time you cried, Pap? When was the last time you cried?
Probably the last time my dad whooped me.
Okay.
About 13.
Okay. Well, Pap, have you not seen it when you played? You never saw
what?
Players. You never saw other players crying in the clubhouse of all your years?
Crying of joy, yeah, like crying of joy. Like,
right. You never had a teammate that was crying because they were just falling apart?
No. I can't, like, no. I can't ever remember seeing a player sit in his locker and be like, oh my God, I suck. Am I ever going to be good again? Hell, no. Like, I would literally go up to him and be like, hey, bro, you all right? Like, what's wrong with you?
You guys ever seen that?
Have you guys ever seen anybody cry?
I might have made people cry before. I might have tried to make people cry before, but no one ever did it. It wasn't for lack of effort. Trust me.
I didn't cry about my performance. I cried. I'm a crier.
Yeah, but not happy tears. I'm saying struggle tears. Anyone seen struggle tears?
I don't remember seeing a dude cry because most of the time, listen, this isn't like a mean or a bullying thing. Like, most dudes that are in Pap and Kratz, I think, are alphas. Like, if you're in a big league clubhouse, at some point in your life, you are a fucking alpha, right?
Or
and you have to have, or you're not there most of the time, right? So if you're at some point in your life, you are the best player on your team, the best player of this, and you kind of believe that inside. You have to have a certain belief in it. And to see somebody do this, it would have been like, guys would have been like, like, now if a guy was hurt or something, they're crying, oh, I got hurt my arm, or fine. But like, just to be like, oh man, I've had a couple bad outings. Like, dudes would have been like, what the fuck's wrong with Papelbon? What the fuck's he crying about?
Yeah, dude.
Guys would literally be like, get him the fuck out of here. Like, what the? We don't want that dude on our team.
That's what guys would be thinking for sure. Like, what's wrong with this dude? We don't need this. Now, like AJ said, you tear an ACL, you're done for the year. Trevor Story, Trevor Story had an interview after he rehabbed back, busted his ass to come back. Bam. What was it? 2 weeks in a season, out for a whole nother season. Like, yeah, dude, that's like, there's some heart behind that. And there's like, man, like that's tears of God, I missed this. It's not tears of like, I suck. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Big difference.
Completely different.
Listen, there's nothing wrong with what happened. I mean, listen, he did what he wanted to do, and everyone reacts different to different situations. I don't want people to think like they don't have a heart. No, that's not what we're saying. It's just, I've never seen it, and I'm just telling you what people would be saying. I mean, I'm telling you, if Pap was on my team and he would have blown a save and he goes to do the interview and he's like, oh, I can't believe it. I'd have been like, dude, we don't want him to be our closer. We need a badass son of a bitch as our closer. And he handled it different than but listen, that's each your own. No problem.
He wasn't balling, but the fact that there were tears on struggles, is uncommon. That's what we like to find out here. A little inside the clubhouse access on FT, and he's going through right now.
Man, and I tell you what, dude, the struggles are real for him. And he's been on top of the world, and like. Right now, he needs his teammates. There's no question. Teammates got to pick him up, but he's got to take a step back. Maybe it's a mental block or something. Like, usually for a closer, for me, it was never stuff. It was either a mental block, or I didn't prepare the right way, or I went about like approaching that hitter the wrong way. I should have went a different way, but yeah. It's a tough struggle for him right now, ain't no question.
quick follow-up. And also, by the way, because I watch games every night, I don't think I've ever watched a full game and not heard the word confidence in the broadcast. Every analyst will bring that up at some point. If the pitcher's dealing, if a dude hits a homer, right? So this is playing to that. You need your closer especially to come in there and be like, F you, I'm better than everyone, even if he's struggling. Quick question here from Warrior. I'd rather have a guy with tears, struggling, showing he cares, passion, versus someone who doesn't give a fuck and is emotionless. So it's like, would you rather play with, or would you rather walk into a clubhouse with a Diaz or a dude who doesn't give a crap? Which I know.
Well, obviously the guy that cares.
Yeah.
But there's other ways to show you care. And you know, I mean, I understand the question, but there's other ways to show you care. And listen, again, everyone handles their emotions differently, and this is just the way Diaz did it, and good for him.
I loved AJ Ramos, who's been on this show before, saying he had a really bad game. It was early on in his career, and Ricky in Alaska was like, screw that, dude. We're going to dinner and getting a little drunk. Like, move on. You're good. Move on.
That's the best cure, man.
That is.
Also, you guys know
have
this.
a good time. Move on.
Also, you guys know this. Like, how quick – you want to know what separates really good players from, like, guys that don't make it? Can you put yesterday behind you, right? Like, a closer especially. You want to show me a good closer? Show me a closer that can handle blowing a save, right? Don't show me the one that can go out there and save 50 games in a row. That's easy. Oh, woo-hoo. But then you blow one. How do you handle that? Can you bounce back the next day and save that, lock that shit down for us tomorrow? Mm-hmm. That's how you figure out if the guy can do it.
But also on that same note too, AJ, you got to forget the ones where you went out there and it was 8 pitches, punchy, sit down. You can't be like, like I'm on top of a mountain, ain't nobody. You got to stay humble. You got to stay like wanting it, because to me, as soon as I did not fear somebody, or as soon as I did not be like, this son of a bitch is in the big leagues, I don't care what some names on the back of his jersey, he's a big league ball player, and I'm treating him just as I would everybody else. So, that plays a part too.
Yeah. All right, let's get to our picks. So first off, on the BetMGM app, you can watch the Rockies and the A's as the free game of the day, streaming on the BetMGM app. This is actually a perfect game
for battle for the second pick.
For betting on. Yeah. Well, it's a draft lottery now, so be careful. Be careful what you wish for.
For the most draft balls.
For the most ping pong balls.
Yeah,
second most, because the White Sox already have one locked up. Oh, but they can't draft till after the top 10.
Correct.
Which is amazing.
Live streaming is available for this game, Rockies Oakland, 9:40 Eastern, to all BetMGM customers who are logged in and have funded accounts. Okay. Cal
Let me guess
Quantrill
Pap's
on the mound.
The White Sox are playing Toronto, so he's got Toronto.
First, let me show you the FT heater boost, and that's my pick, so we'll get that done easy. Javier Assad, 4Ks or more, and less than 11 total runs in the game. I know about
What's
the
that?
wind. You're
the wind blowing out 20 tonight at Wrigley. Because I looked. When I saw 11, I go, damn, I'm going to take the under because Assad's been dealing, and Morton usually doesn't give up a lot. And then I'm like, hold up. Let me check the wind, and it's dead out straight north, or dead out of the south, which means it's blowing dead out the center at 20 plus.
It's only
Pap, you ever fish? You ever fish, Pat?
Fish? I love to fish.
Yeah. They're fishing for you to take the over in that game because Assad's given up 2 dingers all season. Morton's given up 5 dingers all season. They're fishing for you. You think they know the weather, man?
Yeah, ground balls and punch outs, baby.
That's why it's 11. Normally it would be like 6 in that game.
Exactly.
That's why it's going to take the under. And then I realized, oh, shit. But look at that record, Pat. Suck it, sucker.
Hey, you still up money, cuz. That's all that matters. Everybody up money.
Yep. I'm throwing down 100 to win 210. That's the FT heater boost because it was plus 170. So
I couldn't even take down the Papnosticator my last bet. I tried to cool him off. It didn't even work.
All right, so what are you doing?
That
are you
ain't
telling
happening,
them or you got your own?
No, I'm going because I know Pap's going to take Toronto. I'm going Garrett Crochet versus Kikuchi tonight. Crochet, more punch-outs than Kikuchi, and it's plus money, which I couldn't believe. I was like, how is this? I was like, how is this plus money? I checked it twice. I'm like, this has got to be wrong. But I'm going with that. It's like plus 130. Let's go. Look at. Well,
he's facing a better offense.
Who?
Crochet.
He also punches out way more.
I understand, but maybe they're thinking there's a chance that one goes 4 and one goes 6. I don't know. Or one goes 5 and one goes 7. Yeah. But yes, understood. The White Sox punch out.
So
That
the
lineup.
Blue Jays, though.
Yeah.
No.
Okay. We'll see.
Yeah, they punch out enough off that slider crochet.
Hey, you got an over-under line of 6.5, so they are expecting punch-outs. They are expecting.
And what's Kikuchi's? 4.5, right? I think Kikuchi's is 4.5.
4.
Yeah, see? So
Wow.
that's why the line didn't make sense to me. That's why it should have been minus 130 for crochet.
Yeah. Something's not adding up there. I see you working, AJ.
I'll check it out. All right, Pap, you
AJ's
give us
back.
what you got
AJ's
while I
back.
look that. I'm going to check that. Pap, what do you got?
Man, I
Fish
got
pit.
3-game parlay. You know, we got Pat parlay today. 3 games. I got the Blue Jays, of course, right? I mean, I don't understand, especially after this Yankees series, anybody that not only betting them in the series, but man, I got to ride the White Sox. So anyway, I'm going Blue Jays, and I'm going to put them in a parlay with the Orioles at minus 165, and I got one more in there. I got the Cleveland Guardians against the Mets. Mets they're a shit show right now.
Well
Thinking against
said.
our boy Lance Lynn.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Kratz, you're up.
I'm going Nerfy. No runs first inning. Oakland has scored twice as few as the next closest team in the first inning. The A's do not score. I have a little formula. The A's and the Rockies are facing each other. Aaron Brooks gave up a run. I'm going no runs first inning, minus 120.
I'm just laughing that Pap doesn't know his own pick. That's the best.
Hey, I go by straight
that's
feel.
what.
That was epic.
Alchemania, baby.
Go
If
get
you
it.
would've had the
I
mustache.
bet the Red Sox. Honestly and truthfully, I tried to tell y'all the other day. I know I can't bet them, but I would. They covered big time. But
There you go. Oof. That's a great. He's got all the Hacklemania merch. So check out Pap's socials. All right, give him a follow. Pap, good to see you, dude. We'll catch you soon. All right.
All right, boys. Y'all take
Appreciate
care,
you.
man.
You
See
too. Jonathan Papelbon, the FT fam closer.
I love
Bringing
it. He's
it.
like, yes. Oh my gosh.
No crying in baseball.
So funny. I mean, listen, everyone handles their emotions differently. Cool.
Well,
cool.
I want everyone to ride their emotions through BetMGM Big Money Week on Wheel of Fortune. They're giving away up to $10 million in bonuses all week long. Take a spin on the Big Money wheel for daily prizes and a chance to win $10K if you're a BetMGM Sportsbook account holder. Reward types include parlay boost tokens, bet insurance tokens, and bonus bets. Get after it. Everyone's favorite game show. For the people, a little quickie. Some people were like, is this current Bryce Harper part of the prom ask? They were like, did this just happen? Like, there's a season going on. I don't know. I think it did. I mean, it was circulating, but apparently Bryce was helpful in an ask for prom. Gotta love it. Taking time out of his busy schedule. Bryce, we need 10 minutes from you too on this show. But anyway, that was cool. Clearly some big Phillies fans. We're looking at it.
She says yes, and
she's like, who's this guy? Bryce!
She's like, oh my goodness. And then her dad comes out at the end, or some guy comes out at the end, and he's like, hey, nice to meet you, bro.
It's like, wait, she's like, I'm going with Bryce? And it's like, no, you're going with him. He's just here. He took Bryce.
My question is, where does she live? In the Hobbit's little house?
I like that
door.
Yeah.
That door looks like in the Hobbit.
I'm not going to say where Bryce lives, but I'm going to say that the area is definitely that type of door. Let's put it that way. It's nice. He's not living downtown. Let's put it that way. He's not living in Fishtown like Kapler.
I didn't assume that Bryce was living in a not nice neighborhood.
Yeah. Go to some.
Whatever. Hobbit doors are in right now. They're so in. Are you ready for slap bands?
Yep.
Kratz hats, hit it.
I got to wear this one twice, and this actually may be my new favorite hat of a team that I haven't played on yet. Jeremy Meyer, our illustrious director, one of our illustrious directors, sent me this hat. Can you guys see what it is?
It's Myrtle Beach Pelicans.
Golly, it is so – this is fire. Like, this is a really, really nice hat. So shout out, Jer, for this hat. What an amazing gift that I got in the mail. Myrtle Beach Pelicans.
Hey, I like the colors, and I like the logo, and they made a pelican look like a badass.
Yeah.
That pelican looks like it has seen some shit. I've seen some things. That's good. Yeah. This is now in our possession and can be in your possession as well. FT Teasapucks. They're nice too. You can pick either AJ or me if you want to single us up at any point too. But QR code on your screen. They are not expensive. And they are available now at teasaenergy.com. You can also use the code FOUL at checkout if you're a first-time buyer.
I had
a little extra off.
I had one in.
He did. He had one in almost the entire show.
So energized.
It lasts. No nicotine, no tobacco.
I think it was tropical I had.
Yes. So this is the first ever wintergreen tropical mix. You get a 2-flavor situation in one puck, and we're excited about it. And I have to say, the art came out immaculate.
That's badass puck.
It is.
Might just put one of these on my wall.
Yeah, this is a memento right here. I'm serious. I'm not just trying to be a salesperson, but this is cool.
AJ wants to look at his eyes. He loves looking at his eyes.
Especially when it matches your hat perfectly. It's like, ooh.
If we could put my screen next to AJ's screen, and then you would just see AJ look like this the whole time on his single.
You're right. Because they match your hat perfectly.
It looks good.
It's good. It's good producing by Claude.
Well done. So go get them and use the code FOUL, F-O-U-L, for 20% off your first order at teasaenergy.com. Got some cool little discounts we're throwing at you today. And 'tis the season. Sponsors like us right now. Baseball's about to take center stage. All the other sports are going away for a few months.
Well, the NBA playoffs will be over in like 2 weeks. Excuse me, 2 months.
Yeah, it's the longest postseason ever. My last thing, and just a couple other team shout-outs we didn't get to. Dodgers are rolling. They've won 21 of 27. We'll talk more about them later in the week. Dodgers territory also ran yesterday with Steven Nelson, their broadcaster, one of their broadcasters joining us. It was great. Dodgers had a little Freddie Freeman grand salami, and Yamamoto looks good, but he's no Imanaga, but he looks good.
Did you ask Steven Nelson if he could get us a gray Shohei bobblehead? I asked Eric Karros. He said no. So maybe Steven
I don't think
Nelson
he can.
do it for us.
That's the toughest thing to try and pull off.
What are they up to right now? Because they were 400 the next day, and the other one was 300.
I think they're higher. Also, Hot Sheet coming up next on the Baseball America YouTube channel. So make sure you check that out, and you don't have to go anywhere. Just stay here. We're going to talk about the international signing situation/scandal right after this. And if you rate and review our podcast and you're listening to it right now and you say something nice and you give us 5 stars, I'm going to read it. Almost anything that you say, I'll read it if it's nice. No trolls. See you Wednesday.